What's going on, bottom line viewers? It's Mitch back here with another NFL record prediction for the 2020 NFL regular season. In this video, I'm going to dive into the LA Chargers and let you know what I think their record's going to be in 2020, the games that I think they may win, the games that I think they'll likely lose, and break down the Chargers, because the Chargers are a really fascinating team this year because they've gone in a totally different direction at the quarterback position, but they still have one of the best rosters, pure talent-wise, in the NFL. So, to me, they're one of the most interesting, fascinating teams in the entire league. So, before I do dive into this schedule, make sure that you do Gronk spike the like button, subscribe to the Bottom Line View for more NFL videos just like this, and comment below your opinion on the Chargers. Do you think they're going to be a good team this year? Do you think they're going to surprise some people and potentially make the playoffs? Or do you think they're still 1 year away from shocking the world? All right, let's dive into their schedule for the 2020 regular season. So, week 1, they play the Cincinnati Bengals, and this is a game that I think they can win. I think the Bengals are a team that's maybe a little bit underrated, maybe a little bit more talented than people give them credit for, and not necessarily as bad as a number 1 overall pick would suggest. Plus, they have a rookie quarterback who knows. But I will say this. The Bengals, Joe Burrow, okay? They're not as talented as the Chargers. Second reason, if this is a rookie quarterback, first week of the year, after this weird offseason, that's really difficult to beat this defense in week 1. Okay? This defense, the Chargers defense, you guys know, it's loaded. It's going to be top 10 at least, top 5 maybe. And it's going to be one of the most difficult to pass on in the league. So, that being said, it's going to be difficult for any rookie to beat them in week 1. Week 2, they play the Chiefs. I am still kind of determining whether or not I think the Chargers can beat the Chiefs once this year, honestly. I think the Chiefs are really good, but the Chargers seem to give them fits because they're such a good pass defense, again, and they're very athletic. They're very fast on defense, which allows them to stay in games. And honestly, they could have won both of the games they played last year versus Kansas City if Phillip Rivers didn't throw all these interceptions and they made dumb mistakes. So I'm going to say the first one, they'll lose to Kansas City. I just think Kansas City early in the year is very difficult to beat because Andy Reid is such a great coach, and he comes up with these new plays and new schemes and new things that just throw people off guard. And I think that will be the case in week 2. Week 3, they play Carolina. This is a game that I think they can win. It's at home. Carolina is not a great team this year. I think Carolina is probably one of the worst teams in the league, and not a lot to be said. I think Carolina also, offensive line-wise, pretty weak. Secondary-wise, not great. And really, overall, just a lot of young players, and it's probably ideal to play them early in the year as opposed to later in the year. So I have them beating Carolina. Week 4, I think the Bucs will beat them. But I will say this, if anyone can match up with the Bucs offense, it might be the Chargers. I mean, Derwin James taking on those tight ends. You have Joey Bosa and Ingram coming off the edge to get after Tommy. And you have, your corners who are awesome playing Godwin and Evans. So if the Bucs have a tough time scoring on anyone, it might be the Chargers. But your offense is a little worrisome versus this Bucs defense that I think doesn't get enough credit. It's very well schooled under Todd Bowles. And if this is Justin Herbert, he might have a very difficult time versus this scheme and the way that Bowles gets after a young quarterback and can confuse him. If it's Tyrod Taylor, I just don't think Tyrod has the arm to make some of the throws necessary versus a Bowles defense. So I think this probably will be a low-scoring, tight game, but I think the Bucs have enough to win, and I think the Bucs are going to be very good. Week 5, they play on Monday night versus the Saints. This is Drew Brees' revenge game. So therefore, I think the Saints will win. Although I would not be shocked if the Chargers won. Because again, just like the Bucs game. This is a game where, hey, if anybody can slow down the Saints, it might be the Chargers. And that's why I look at this Chargers team and I say, you know what? If I can see them going to the playoffs, but they're more likely going to be a team that loses a lot of close games. And hey, at the end of the day, I might even give this win to them, but we'll have to see. All right. The Jets, week 6. I think they beat the Jets. It's at home. The Jets have to go cross country, and I don't even know how Sam Darnold's going to get an open receiver versus the secondary. Their receivers in the Jets suck. Week 7, the Dolphins. This is another weird one because right after playing the Jets, they have to travel cross country to play the Dolphins. I believe I had the Dolphins beating them, but I really don't know. That's not an easy game. That's a flip-flopper. Miami is always difficult to play in. And I do believe that a Brian Flores defense, if this is Justin Herbert, and even if it's Tyrod, Brian Flores has plenty of experience playing him, so I'm going to go with Miami, but I'm not confident about it. Week 8, they play Jacksonville, and I think Jacksonville will lose. I think Jacksonville's a pretty bad team. So right now, they're at 4-4. That's not bad. Week 9, they play the Raiders. I believe I have the Raiders beating them the first time they play, but the Chargers beating them the second time. I think they'll split with the Raiders. I think that's a really good matchup for a number of reasons. I think the Chargers are a team that's probably slightly more talented all around, but I think the Raiders have the more established quarterback. I think the Raiders have the slightly better coach, and I think the Raiders are better on the offensive line, which allows them to run the ball better. But it's a good contest for both of those games. Will be exciting. Week 11, they play the Broncos in Denver, and I have them losing to the Broncos in Denver. I believe I have them beating the Broncos in week 16. Either way, though, let's swap that because the Broncos got to lose some games at home. It seems like the Broncos, Chargers fans have 9 home games a year. I don't know. This is a theory of mine. I don't know. I've just kind of noticed. Week 12, the Chargers travel to Buffalo. That's another interesting game. I think Buffalo is just... Yeah, I think Buffalo wins. Reason why is I think Buffalo in December or in like late November is cold. And the Chargers are not good in cold weather. And they're also not good when they travel east. And that's going to be really what happens when they play Buffalo. They play week 13 versus New England, which is another game that I can see them winning. But as of now, I have New England winning. And there's a main reason for this. New England played them 2 years ago in the playoffs. And New England basically ran the ball at will versus them. And their offense, or their defense, their secondary, I should say, for New England, matched up supremely well with the Chargers' offense. And it just seems like Belichick has a great handle on what the Chargers like to do offensively. So for those reasons, I think New England could win that game versus the Chargers. Would I be shocked if the Chargers won? No, but that's the way I'm going right now. And what else do I have here? So they're 7-7. I believe I have Atlanta beating them just because I think Matt Ryan and I like their D-line in Atlanta. I think that's another game. Like these games here, New England, Atlanta, if they could pick up those wins, they'll probably go to the playoffs. But right now, guys, I have them going 7-9, which is the same record I have for the Raiders for last in the division. Tied for last, I should say, or tied for third, whatever way you want to look at it. But that's the way I see the Chargers season going. I think they're a very talented team that has a lot of really good players and okay coaching, but I just don't think they have the quarterback right now, and I don't think Justin Herbert will be there in year 1 to take them to the playoffs. If Herbert's better than I think in year 1, then maybe they can get themselves there. But I think they're kind of like that team that the Bills were a couple of years ago. Like they have a pretty good roster surrounding this raw rookie quarterback, but it will take one more season for them to get back to the playoffs. It's kind of the way I'm looking at the Chargers. Plus the Chargers play the AFC West, which is their division, which is really tough, probably the best top to bottom in the AFC. They play the Bucks, the Saints, and Atlanta from the NFC South, which is arguably the best NFC division. They play New England and Buffalo. And they play in Miami, which is hard. So they play another really tough schedule. I think the entire AFC West has a ludicrous schedule, just like I said with the Raiders. And yeah, that's just the way it's going to go for me. Would I be shocked if the Chargers made the playoffs? No. Would I be shocked if they went 5-11? Probably not. I think they're just one of those teams that's probably going to be competitive in every game, but it's going to be a coin toss, a coin flip, whether they win or lose. So let me know in the comments what you have for the Chargers schedule. Gronk, spike the like button, subscribe to The Bottom Line View for more NFL record predictions just like this. Peace.